My name is Chris Beard. I'm a professor at the University of Kansas. I'm also the senior curator of vertebrate paleontology there. I'm a mammal paleontologist, so I'm mainly interested in the big diversification of mammals that occurred right after the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary. It's one of the classical examples of evolutionary diversification. I think if we're interested in the origin of life on Earth, or if we're interested in the Earth as it exists today, we live in the age of mammals, and so understanding the origin of the age of mammals is kind of inherently interesting. And after all, we humans are mammals too, so we're embedded within this biological tapestry that includes all other mammals. It was an amazing time. The Eocene was a time when the entire world was a greenhouse. We know this because we can find fossil palm trees in Alaska, which is hard to imagine today. And so primates, because they're animals that are just inherently linked to the tropics, they love warm climates, they love humidity and things like that. Primates thrived during this greenhouse world of the Eocene. So we know that primates, for example, were able to disperse across the Bering Land Bridge connecting Siberia and Alaska. They did it not once, but multiple times. And we also know that primates were able to cross oceanic barriers, probably because of massive Eocene tropical storms. So it was really a dynamic time for primate evolution. Yes, so I became involved with this particular research program mainly because it runs very much adjacently to a program of my own that's based in the United States. Our common focus is mainly on this, I like to call it the lost continent of Balkanatolia. It was an island, a giant island that was situated in the Tethys Sea, the progenitor of the modern Mediterranean. With Africa to the south, Asia to the northeast, and Europe to the northwest. And so the reason it's so exciting for us to study this is because it's very rare in the fossil record to be able to study the genesis of an island biota across millions of years. And so here in Balkanatolia, we can study how this really unique ecosystem evolved over millions of years, mainly by dispersal and colonization from all three directions, Africa, Asia, and Europe. So it's a fascinating thing to study. Yeah, so paleontology, I mean, in general, people think of it as almost a 19th century science. People have been looking for fossils for 200 years, more than 200 years, and in that sense, not much has changed. But what has changed is technology. And so today, for example, we have micro CT scanners that allow us to non-destructively look inside a fossil, reconstruct internal components of a fossil without, in the old days, we had to physically dissect these specimens and damage them forever. Now we can simply peer inside digitally and reconstruct fossils using this methodology. So that to me is the most exciting new trend. One of the major groups of placental mammals, that means everything that's not either an egg-laying monotreme or a marsupial. The big group of placental mammals that we know very little about their evolutionary history are the Afrotheres, the group that includes elephants and hyraxes and aardvarks and things like that, which is geographically focused on Africa. We have a problem understanding the evolution of this group because the African fossil record is actually quite terrible. But fortunately, because Balkanatolia was an island off Africa, it was being colonized at this time by animals that were living in Africa. And so in Balkanatolia, we're able to find animals that give us information about the origin of this big group of Afrotherian mammals, which so far we can't find in Africa. So it's kind of a weird echo, as it were, of African mammal evolution that we can find in Balkanatolia. I think that's really exciting. It's going to tell us a lot about this singular group of mammals and how they evolved. And I have a suspicion that there's going to be some really strange results coming out of this. Yeah, so in particular, on this island of Balkanatolia, we've discovered a mammal fauna that is unlike any other mammal fauna on Earth. We have animals living together on Balkanatolia that simply never live together elsewhere, so that's interesting by itself. But we also have unique animals that have never been found anywhere else, including very unique groups of mammals that yeah, I mean, they're so different that we're going to have to name a new order of mammals, which is actually a big event. Well, the problem with the fossil record is basically that it's incomplete. And so we work really, really hard to find fossils from places where we have not been able to find fossils before. Balkanatolia is an excellent example. But regardless of that, I mean, even though we found fossils in Balkanatolia that no one knew existed 20 years ago, what we know from that work is that there's more that remains to be done. So we found fossils from this time period of Balkanatolia, this time period, but we would really like to make these few snapshots into a movie, so to speak. So we need a denser fossil record through time. That's the challenge.